ladies, ladies. I have to bring y'all to the front of the congregation because I have some things that I need to say. I need to get off my chest. First, men like to be desired. I know. What are we doing wanting to be desired? Yes, but it's true. Men like to be desired. I won't even give my energy to a woman unless I know she's interested. Gone are the days where I just walk up to a woman and buy her a drink. Oh, those days are far gone. That's called simp activity now. I can't do that no more. I have to know you interested. You got to give me the eyes, or you got to like verbally tell me to come over, or you got to come over. But I'm gone are the days where I'm just buying women drinks. I stopped that back in college when I started to realize like I was losing out on money. Buy a girl a drink, the next thing you know, oh, I gotta go. And then all of a sudden her friend comes over, pulling her away. We gotta go, bye. Wasting my money. Wasting my money. So from that point on, I was like, yo, I'm not buying no drink until I know that a girl's interested. So yes, women, yes. Men do like to feel wanted. We do have emotions. We do have feelings. I know the world has led y'all to believe that we don't have feelings, we don't have emotions, though y'all want us to show emotions, but when men show emotions, it's a problem. We're weak, we're soft. You know, I it's crazy. It's crazy because you can't win. Men are forever in a lose-lose situation. It's like when you get into an argument with a woman, she wants you to validate her feelings, even if that means ignoring how you may have felt in the situation. I have to validate hers because she'll never realize that you have feelings in the situation. It's just all about validating hers and making sure that I understand how she feels. So if I can ask anything of women, it would be to understand that yes, we're not as emotional as women. We don't lead with our emotions. We lead more with logic. We still do have emotions. I would say some men are more emotional than women. You see how men crash out over women. Men that do the craziest things over women. Most of wars are fought because of women or money. I would assume most deaths happen because of women or money. So men, I would say men are a lot more emotional than women. Some. I definitely wouldn't say that I am, but you know, I have gotten to a stage in my life where I try to be more emotional. I try to articulate my emotions a lot better. How a situation may have made me feel, or what I'm thinking in that moment, why I'm quiet all of a sudden, why I don't want you know anyone to be around me. I'm better at articulating those feelings, but I still wouldn't say I'm like emotional, overly emotional. I'm very logical in the way that I think. I tend to go the route of what makes sense. Um, because to me, you're just better off moving in that direction. Besides, what emotions always lead you astray. Um, Logic could, but typically logic doesn't, because logic is kind of based in reality. Is based in the reality of the situation. So more than often, it won't lead you astray. But you do need a good balance of both. You know, and you should be, I guess, understanding, having empathy. I would say a lot of women also don't have empathy towards men. Um, I think we're kind of like left to figure things out. Well, you're a man, get over it, figure it out. I think that's just how society treats us. Which is part of the reason why the suicide rate is higher for men than women. It's just more burden for us to carry. We have more weight on our shoulders, and society doesn't really care about us and our mental health. um, just pretty much that in a nutshell. But as it pertains to women, I really don't think women understand men. They don't really understand what attracts us. Um, I think they think that sex really wins a man over. It doesn't. It wins a man over in the sense of sex. Yes. Yes, we men want to have sex, but because a man has sex with you doesn't mean he's going to keep you around. So I think women are focused on the wrong thing. You should be focused on what keeps a man. What keeps a man? Sex doesn't keep a man. Nah, nah, nah. That's not what keeps a man. It's other things that keeps us. We can get sex from any woman. Like, I'm sorry to say, men can get sex from any other woman. It isn't what sex doesn't keep neither one of us. Like women can get sex from any man. All the hundreds of men that are probably flooding their DMs at any point of the day. Sex isn't what keeps a person. It's a interval. It's a big part in a relationship. Um, it's a big percentage of a healthy relationship, just like the emotional aspect of a relationship. But it isn't the end all be all. Especially for men. I think when women understand that men tend to lean towards the nurturing side of a woman, that's what really keeps us, more of the nurturing side. How does a woman take care of us? And I don't literally mean like from a financial point of view, but how does she take care of us? How does she support us? How does she nurture us? Because at the end of the day, just from a psychological standpoint, like men often choose, especially if they come from a good background, their parents were married, they, stayed together. They tend to pick women that emulate their mother. Um, so we look for nurturers, a woman that's good in the kitchen, a woman that cooks, a woman that cleans, a woman that does I would say men mainly are I would say most of men's love language, I would say, is acts of service. Is that for every man? No, but I would say majority of us is acts of service, like back massages, back scratches. We look for little things, cooking us dinner. We look for those little things, um, little acts of service. And once a woman understands what keeps a man, I think they'd just be better off, and I think they're just believing that men are picking and choosing women just off of sexual things, sexual reasons, or provocative type clothing or things of that nature. Yes, we look at that. Yes, that entertains us. Yes, we'll have sex with you off of that, but that's not what keeps us. So if you guys can understand, if women can understand that, we need to be nurtured. We like being nurtured. We like the woman. I mean, it fits naturally into your guys' roles. You guys are supposed to be soft, gentle. That's what we need for somebody being hard on our exterior. Successful relationships, you shouldn't look for somebody who's similar to you. You shouldn't, if you're a soft, gentle woman, you shouldn't be looking for a soft, gentle man. You should be finding areas that a partner fills where you lack. If I'm super introverted, it probably wouldn't be best for me to find somebody else who's introverted. I should probably find someone who's a little bit more extroverted, a little bit more outgoing, to get me out of my shell, to give me balance. If I'm a unorganized person, I should probably look for someone who's a little bit more organized to give me balance, to to add value to my life. That's what it's all about. It's finding somebody who adds value. You want somebody who adds value to your life, not someone who makes your life harder. Will there be, difficult times in a relationship? Yes. But that's with anything in life. Life is full of peaks and valleys. So there's always going to be ups and downs no matter what it is. No matter what you partake in life, there's going to be mountains, peaks, and valleys. So, but the focus should be, as it pertains to relationships, the focus should be on finding a person who has value to your life, finding someone who fills the holes where you lack, fills the gaps where you lack. Someone who gives you balance, someone who strengthens you. And I think that leads to success. That leads to success. And just wanting to understand your partner's um love language, not necessarily your own. Like I think people are so quick to give out their own love language. Like allow the opposite sex to ask you what your love language is. Stop offering it. If we were in a situation of serving people, we would have a lot more successful relationships if we put serving first. But everything is about self. How you make me feel, what you've done to me. Why can't you do this? But we're never in a situation of serving. How can I help you? What can I do for you? How can I make this easier for you? If we're both in a position of serving one another, how can we fail? You start to have issues when everything is being driven by ego, when everything is being driven by I or me. So we have to change the way we look at relationships and partnerships. Look to serve. Christ came to serve. That was the number one thing he did, serve. Whether you believe in the Bible, believe in Christ or not, you can still learn something from it. And if you choose not to, that's just ignorance. But I can always learn from anything. Whether I believe in it or not, I can still pick up things that make sense, that benefit my life, that help me move forward, that help me grow. So look to serve one another. Look to serve instead of focusing so much on I. So that's what I really wanted to say, mainly to the ladies. It's for the ladies. Just from a man's perspective, what attracts us? It's the little things that attract us. Of course, your body's going to attract us. Of course, your looks are going to attract us, but that's not what makes us keep you. It's the little things, the ancillary things. It's the catering. It's the soft skills, the soft abilities. It's the nurturing aspect of love. The part where we lack in. Those are the shoes that you guys are supposed to fill. And those are the things that we look for in a woman. That's the things. Those are the things that makes us choose to marry a woman. How does she cater to me? But, I think that's enough. I'm not trying to beat the women down. No. But I do like to, I think it's just so many women that are trying to tell other women how men think when you can never know how a man thinks because you're not a man. I would never try to assume how a woman thinks because it's too complex for that. If you listen to women to try to understand men, you're going to forever be unsuccessful. Forever. You have to listen to men. We'll tell you what we look for. Why not go to the source? That only makes sense. But I thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm going to have more content on the way per usual. I'll catch y'all in the next one. I'm out.